At 5:47 a.m. on August 8, 1941, 24-year-old Lyudmila Pavlinchenko crouched behind a stack of rubble in Belaya Tserkov, Ukraine, watching a German sniper prepare to kill the Soviet soldier hiding 40 meters to her left. History student, 4 months in the Red Army, 0 confirmed kills, 309 to go. The Wehrmacht had sent 3 full divisions to take Odessa, 150,000 German soldiers advancing. Soviet forces were outnumbered 3-1, and Lyudmila had just volunteered to become a sniper in a unit losing soldiers faster than they could train them. She'd been on the front lines for 6 hours, no sleep, no food, just her Mosin Nagant rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, and a death wish wrapped in patriotic fury. Her university in Kiev had been bombed 11 days earlier, 73 students killed. Her professor, Dr. Anatoly Vulov, buried under rubble for 2 hours before they dragged out his body. Her best friend Natasha died in the library. Fire consumed the building. Natasha couldn't get out. Lyudmila enlisted the next morning. The recruiting officer told her to become a nurse. Women belonged in medical units, not infantry. Lyudmila told him she'd been shooting since she was 14. Marksmen scores in the youth shooting club, top tier in regional competitions. The officer laughed. Shooting targets wasn't combat. Combat was blood, screams, death. Women couldn't handle it. Lyudmila told him to test her. The officer handed her a rifle and pointed at a fence post 100 meters away. She put 5 rounds through the center. The officer stopped laughing. She was assigned to the 25th Rifle Division as a sniper. That was 4 months ago. Now she was in Ukraine watching Germans kill her comrades, and she still hadn't taken her first shot. The German sniper was 280 meters away, positioned behind a destroyed farmhouse wall. Lyudmila could see the top of his helmet through a crack in the masonry. He was tracking the Soviet soldier, waiting for him to move. The soldier was Sergeant Dmitry Kravchenko, 32 years old, married, 2 children. Lyudmila had met him yesterday. He'd shared his bread with her when she hadn't eaten in 18 hours. Now he was about to die because he didn't know a German was aiming at him. Lyudmila raised her rifle. Her hands were steady, her breathing controlled. Her instructor's voice echoed in her head. Don't think about killing. Think about solving a problem. Distance, wind, movement. It's mathematics, not murder. 280 meters. Light crosswind from the west. Target stationary. She adjusted for windage, settled the crosshairs in the crack where the German helmet showed. Her finger touched the trigger. This was the moment that would define everything. Either she could kill, or she couldn't. Either she was a soldier, or she was a student pretending to be one. She squeezed. The Mosin kicked against her shoulder. The sound cracked across the battlefield. Through the scope, she saw the German helmet jerk backward, then disappear. Kravchenko looked around, confused, didn't know what happened. Lyudmila cambered another round and scanned for threats. Nothing moved. She had just killed her first German soldier. She felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Only the immediate question, where's the next one? That was August 8th, 1941. By May 1942, Lyudmila Pavlichenko would have 309 confirmed kills, including 36 enemy snipers. She would become the deadliest female sniper in history. And the crazy trick that made it possible was something Soviet doctrine explicitly forbade. She used herself as bait. The first sniper Lyudmila lost was Lieutenant Anna Morozova, August 19, 1941. Morozova had been a sniper for 8 months, 47 confirmed kills, experienced, smart, by the book. Soviet sniper doctrine was clear. Never expose your position. Find concealment, take your shot. Move immediately to a secondary position. Never stay in one place more than 30 minutes. Never fire more than 3 shots from one location. Never engage without a clean exit route. Morozova followed every rule. She positioned herself in a bombed-out apartment building, 3rd floor, excellent sight lines, 2 exit routes. She engaged a German machine gun crew at 320 meters. 1 shot, 1 kill. Then moved to her secondary position on the 2nd floor. Waited 20 minutes. Engaged a German officer at 280 meters. Clean kill. She began moving to her 3rd position on the ground floor. A German sniper shot her through the stairwell window. Single round to the chest. She died before medics arrived. The German sniper had tracked her first shot, predicted her movement pattern, and positioned himself to intercept. Morozova never saw him. The man who killed her was Hans Becker, Wehrmacht's sniper, 89 confirmed kills, specialist in counter-sniper operations. He hunted Soviet snipers the way Mudlunyala hunted German soldiers. Becker's pattern was consistent. Wait for Soviet snipers to engage, track their positions, anticipate their movements, and kill them when they relocate. Soviet doctrine made his job easier. If you followed the rules, you were predictable. If you were predictable, you were dead. The second sniper Ludmila lost was Corporal Viktor Stepanov. August 27th, 19 years old. Sniper for 6 weeks. 11 confirmed kills. Good kid, eager to prove himself. He set up in a drainage ditch 400 meters from German lines. Perfect concealment, good sight lines, textbook positioning. At dawn, he engaged a German patrol. 2 shots, 2 kills. Germans scattered and took cover. Stepanov followed doctrine, stayed low, waited 15 minutes, prepared to move to his secondary position. A German artillery shell landed directly in his ditch. Nothing left to bury. The Germans had called in artillery based on where they believed the sniper was hiding. Standard counter-sniper tactic. Observe the shot, estimate location, saturate the area with explosives. Stepanov's concealment was perfect, his accuracy excellent, his discipline flawless. He died anyway because the Germans knew exactly how Soviet snipers operated. By September, Ludmila had watched 7 snipers die. Every single one had followed doctrine. Every single one died because they were predictable. German counter-sniper units were too good. They knew Soviet tactics, Soviet positioning, Soviet movement patterns. Fighting by the book meant dying by the book. Ludmila studied each engagement. Same pattern every time. Soviet sniper takes position, engages target. Germans triangulate the shot. Counter-sniper or artillery responds. Soviet sniper dies or retreats. The issue wasn't marksmanship. Soviet snipers could shoot. The issue was that they fought defensively. They waited for targets. They reacted. They followed doctrine. They never initiated, never controlled the engagement, never made the Germans react to them. German snipers, especially the experienced ones like Becker, hunted actively. They created targets. They forced Soviet snipers to expose themselves, then killed them. Ludmila needed to reverse the dynamic. Stop being prey, become predator. But Soviet doctrine was explicit. Concealment is survival. Exposure is death. Never compromise your position. Never give the enemy a target. The doctrine made sense in theory. In practice, it was a death sentence. German counter-snipers were too skilled. They could find you even when you were perfectly concealed. August 1944. The Allied breakthrough at Normandy has shattered German defenses across France. General George Patton's Third Army is racing eastward at speeds no military planner thought possible, advancing 30, 40, sometimes 50 miles per day. But there's a problem no one anticipated. The armies are outrunning their supply lines. Every Sherman tank burns 5 gallons of fuel per mile. Every infantry division needs 650 tons of supplies daily: ammunition, rations, medical equipment, spare parts. At the Supreme Headquarters, the logistics officers are looking at numbers that don't add up. Patton's tanks are literally running dry. The Third Army has advanced so rapidly that trucks can't keep pace. In 1 week alone, forward units report being down to 3 days of ammunition. Some tank battalions are completely immobilized, not from enemy action, but from empty fuel tanks. The room erupts when Colonel Frank Ross, Chief of Transportation, briefs General Eisenhower on August 21st. "We're losing 23% of supplies before they reach the front," Ross reports. Truck accidents, German air attacks, vehicles breaking down mid-convoy. If Patton stops moving, the Germans will reinforce. If he keeps moving without supplies, his army will collapse. Eisenhower stares at the map. The window to end the war by Christmas is closing. How long to fix this? Weeks, maybe months. We'd need to completely redesign the convoy system, establish proper maintenance depots. But they don't have weeks. Eisenhower's finger traces the red line marking the German border. The Wehrmacht is retreating now. Give them time to regroup, and they'll be fighting through the Siegfried Line in winter. I need solutions in days, gentlemen, not months. The meeting adjourns with no answers. Meanwhile, 90 miles away, Technical Sergeant Raymond Ray Kowalski sits in the cab of his GMC Jimmy truck, staring at the wreckage of another convoy. 8 trucks overturned and burned, supplies scattered across the roadside. A Luftwaffe strafing run caught them bunched together on a narrow road, sitting ducks. Kowalski, 34, a long-haul trucker from Pittsburgh before the war. No college degree, no military pedigree. Just 15 years hauling steel through Pennsylvania's mountain roads. Watches good men die because nobody in command understands trucking. He lights a cigarette, remembering something his old dispatcher used to say. Convoys are for show. Profits are in the spacing. Before we continue, if you're fascinated by untold innovations that changed history, hit subscribe and drop a like on this video for more amazing World War II stories every day. The Red Ball Express. Official convoy doctrine. 20-plus trucks, 60 yards apart, 25 miles per hour max. Safety in numbers. But Kowalski has seen 6 convoys in 2 weeks, every one taking casualties. The problem isn't just German air attacks, it's the convoy itself. 20 trucks, bunched on a rural road, create a target visible for miles. When aircraft appear, the entire convoy stops, trapped. Yet he notices something else. When a few impatient drivers leave alone once loaded, those trucks always arrive safely. The convoy? It loses 3 trucks that day. Independent trucks, spread out over hours, are nearly impossible to target. Even if one truck is spotted, it's not worth the fuel to hit it. But a convoy? That's a prize. The math is brutal. Convoys suffer 23% losses. Independents, under 3%. The proposal. August 25th. Kowalski brings his notebook to Captain Dennis Hayes. "Sir, I think I know how to cut our supply losses by 90%. Hayes looks him over, dusty coveralls, oil-stained hands, and delivers a line that will echo through logistics history. "Kowalski, you're a goddamn truck driver. Leave the tactics to people who went to West Point." His proposal goes up the chain with a dismissive note. Battalion HQ denies it immediately. Individual vehicle operations eliminate mutual support and violate tactical protocol. Kowalski laughs bitterly. He's been driving trucks longer than these officers have been alive, and they're lecturing him on vehicle operations. But he doesn't give up. On August 27th, he approaches Lieutenant Colonel Martin Burgess.
April 17th, 1943, Maknassi Pass, Tunisia. War isn't quiet. War doesn't wait. And today, war just got humiliated by a 2,000-pound scrap of American steel. The Africa Corps moved through the desert like ghosts, silent, low, disciplined. These were Germany's finest, the men who brought Europe to its knees. But today, they were about to get absolutely violated by something that shouldn't exist. Not a tank, not a bomber, not some secret Allied weapon forged in a lab. No, a Jeep. Picture this. You're crouched behind a rock, rifle ready, sweat burning into your eyes. You trained your whole life for honor, strategy, precision, and suddenly you hear it. Not a Panzer engine, not a British Matilda tank, a purring, smug little engine that sounds like it's laughing at you. Then it appears, bouncing across the desert like it owns the place. No armor, no roof, no fear, just a dirty green shoebox with wheels, and it's faster than anything you've ever seen. You think, what idiot would go to war in that? Until your squad gets outflanked in 14 seconds by 6 of them, swarming your position like mechanical hyenas. Fast, ruthless, surgical. No mercy, no hesitation. They don't fight like soldiers. They fight like wolves. Browning machine gun swinging, engine screaming, sand exploding. Your men don't even have time to shout before they're pinned and surrounded. There is no German word for what just happened, but there's an American one: domination. And right there, in the dust, in the heat, in the total humiliation, Germany learned something terrifying. This Jeep wasn't a vehicle. It was a goddamn problem. A problem so big, so embarrassing, so unstoppable, that Hitler himself put a bounty on it.
April 17th, 1943, 1740 hours, somewhere outside Maknassi Pass. The Americans didn't waste time with speeches, they didn't bark insults, they didn't parade their victory. They disarmed the Germans faster than a factory assembly line strips scrap metal. Clean, efficient, emotionless. Carl Weber watched them work and realized something unsettling. These weren't the clumsy, lazy Americans German propaganda talked about. These men moved like they had done this 1,000 times. April 17th, 1943, 1740 hours, somewhere outside Maknassi Pass. The Americans didn't waste time with speeches. They didn't bark insults, they didn't parade their victory. They disarmed the Germans faster than a factory assembly line strips scrap metal. Clean, efficient, emotionless. Carl Weber watched them work and realized something unsettling. These weren't the clumsy, lazy Americans German propaganda talked about. These men moved like they had done this 1,000 times. A Jeep skidded to a stop in front of Carl. The driver hopped out, helmet low, sleeves rolled, strip of chewing gum in his teeth, like he had zero respect for the desert or the war. He looked maybe 20 years old, just a kid. He tossed a cigarette to one of his buddies and said, "Bag 'em, tag 'em, move 'em." That was it. No ideology, no hate, just work. War to them was industrial. Carl's squad was lined up and searched, dog tags taken, rifles tossed onto a growing pile of captured weapons. A U.S. officer with a clipboard walked past, barely looking at them as he spoke. 10 prisoners, no wounded. Push him to transport. They were no longer soldiers. They were inventory. But Carl wasn't looking at the Americans anymore. He was staring at the jeep. 2 of them idled in front of him, engines running smooth as sewing machines. The desert had killed half the German vehicles in the region. Sand clogged air filters, heat destroyed radiators, gearboxes died from dust. But these things looked like they didn't even notice the desert existed. One of the jeeps had a bullet hole through its hood. Another had dents all over the body. One wheel was clearly bent. And yet, they still ran. Impossible, Carl thought. Then he saw something that made his stomach tighten. A metal toolbox was strapped to the side of the jeep. Just a few wrenches, pliers, a screwdriver, a hunting knife. "That's not a military repair kit," Carl muttered under his breath. That's a farmer's kit." He stepped closer without thinking. A U.S. guard shoved him back. "Keep walking, Fritz." Carl didn't move. He pointed at the jeep and said in rough English, How does it run like this?" The American shrugged as he slung his Garand rifle over his shoulder. "Runs 'cause it's supposed to." "What do you mean?" The American smirked. "It ain't complicated. Fix what breaks. Don't overthink it." He climbed into the jeep, tapped the dashboard twice, and drove off like a man riding a loyal horse into battle. Carl didn't move for a moment. Then he whispered to himself, "Machines don't fight for you. This one does." As night fell, the prisoners were loaded onto a supply truck. Carl sat in the back with his hands bound, watching the jeeps through the slats in the wooden panel. Engines humming, headlights cutting through the dust. He had spent his entire life believing in German engineering. Precision, perfection, flawless mechanics built by flawless minds. But now he had seen something terrifying, something ugly, simple, relentless, something built to win. And for the first time in the war, Carl Weber felt afraid of a machine, afraid of what it meant, afraid of who built it, afraid that Germany might lose. He didn't know it yet, but this jeep would follow him across the Atlantic, into prison, into history, and into his grave.